Hey folks, we are going to be live here for a little bit. There is the Monsters Compendium 4 for Dungeons and Dragons that was released on D&D Beyond last month that introduces 25 creatures that are inspired by the most recent Magic the Gathering card set released, Wild of Eldraine. So they took 25 creatures from that Magic the Gathering set and created D&D creatures out of them. So what this particular program is doing, we are looking at both the creatures in the D&D Beyond website that Wizards produced, as well as the cards that inspired those creatures in the Magic the Gathering set. And we're using that as information for kind of reconnaissance and research for us to further develop the color mana spell point variant rule mechanics that are on the DMsGuild for use of color mana for spell casting in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. If this is interesting to you, I will also let you know that on Tuesday afternoons, like now, like in 23 hours or something, we're going to continue developing the mechanics for the Martial Powers project, which creates a mana system for all the martial characters like barbarians, fighters, monks, rogues that don't usually use spell point mana for things that they do, although the monk is the closest. But this will allow us, that Tuesday project that we work on creates a universal color mana or generic colorless mana, just universal spell points if you want. But using the MTG theme of color mana, it would allow all 13 classes to use the same mana resource pool for different things based on what their class or their multi-classing is. So this is, again, further exploration of that project. I'm going to check my signal here real quick just to make sure that everything's coming through clean, and then we'll get to work here for like an hour. So that sounds like it's coming through a-okay. Let's see. Check. I am just updating my channel here real quick and giving folks notification of something that I'm doing here online for folks to kick through and say, hey, if they're interested. So almost done with the this and that of it all. And whoop, all right, cool. There we go. So if you want to, let's see, let's open up, let's switch our account around here. So I posted a notification that I'm live now on X, Twitter. If you're still on that platform, you can follow me at Phil Kearney. Definitely like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications when I'm live in the future, because I always post, obviously, when I'm live on YouTube. So if you get those notifications, you'll be able to catch up when I'm running live again. And just for the record, if you want to check down there, here's a link to the article and the document that we're going to be using here. It's the color comparison of the Eldraine Monsters Compendium that we have here on my Patreon. And if you click into this is the YouTube stream that you're watching literally right now, hey. But if you click this link, it'll take you to it's a read-only document, but it's the Monsters Compendium Volume 4 Eldraine Creatures, where we are taking each of them and breaking them down, and we are, again, gleaning information about what is presented in these creature stat blocks, along with, like, let's scroll down here to, we're looking at the Ginger Brute right now. So here's the card that goes along with it. So after we look at the creature for the Ginger Brute, we can then look at, like, how do they translate this card into D&D stuff, and then we can go back to the actual card and look at what else, like, what do they leave on the table that we can pick up and integrate into what we're doing. The color mana system, it's been out for a couple years now. It's continued to accumulate interest and best-selling medals. So thanks a lot, everybody, for your ongoing support with those projects. We're also going to be having a big refurbish, integrating Strixhaven, Theros, Ravnica, and the new 2024 1D&D version of this, along with the Martial Power system that we're developing on Tuesday, to have sort of an omnibus of color mana variant rules for use in D&D and in 2024 once that updates. Like, we're still working on the spell point sorcerer. That's a color mana system that you can that you can lean into Magic the Gathering with if you want as well. So there's a lot of cool stuff here. If you think that stuff is cool, check it out. Let's see where we are. Yeah, we're at the Ginger Brute. So I'm going to pull this down, and I think I want to leave this stuff intact here. We'll see if I need to break things up. But right now we've been looking at like what is the hit point and normal DPR, damage per round of creatures at various power levels using card art. Like Magic the Gathering, they have like this power 1, defense 1. That's like the absolute. Well, you can have a power of 0, but if you have a defense of 0, you're dead. So you could theoretically have a power or damage or attack of 0, which you don't. You don't do damage, and then you would have 1 or more, which represents how many hits this creature can take before it goes away. But D&D doesn't work quite so with such little granularity. D&D has a stack of hit points that get into the hundreds or even thousands, depending on what scale of creatures you're talking about. So the 1/1 Ginger Brute, like for example, a 1/1, we're looking at the Fairy Borrower was a 3/1 creature. It's like the Fairy Borrower does 5 points of damage as a creature in D&D, but it's a 3/3 creature in Magic the Gathering. So there's significant disparity between damage capacities between MTG cards and their creature representation in D&D. So I suspect we're not going to gain anything useful out of this stack, but if I don't at least look at it, I can't ascertain that. I want to have evidence that we're extracting from these things in the process. So that's the idea. So great. So let's go ahead and start taking a look at how this works. First thing we're going to do is look at the MTG flavor that's built into the creature stats that they created for D&D specifically, which has us start here with the actual stat block that they have. It's a CR. What is this? Challenge rating is 1/2, so it's very, very minimal, appropriate for a 1/1. Armor class hit points. Hit points are 18, so let's go up here. We'll probably be able to knock down 2 of these before our session ends. X, 18, Ginger Brute. Let's see what else we see about damage right off. We'll start with damage just to get the calibration for its power toughness of damage versus hit points, and then we'll move into the more subtleties, the more subtle stuff. Multi-attack, okay. 2 fork attacks, 2 gumdrop slingshot attacks, or 1 of each. Fork deals, assuming a 60% hit chance or 65% hit chance, means that you're going to have about 2/3 of the damage that it would normally be dealing at average damage. So like it normally deals 6 damage, so in truth it would be 4 damage, but it has 2 of those attacks, so it would be 8 damage. So the 1/1, the 1 power is 8 damage. Here we see 6 again, so 4 times 2, 8. So Ginger Brute toughness, it has 18 hit points, and it can deal 8. So, and the 1/1s we're consistently so far seeing down in the teens. But again, we don't have a full list yet, so we're just going to keep picking at it. Let's see what else we see. Okay, great. So now we can go into translating stuff. First off, this is a construct that doesn't really matter so much right now. What we're looking for is color philosophy ideas. Actually, worth mentioning. If you check out this, my 5 color mana spell point variant rules, a lot of the identity that we're pulling off of colors here comes from. One second. So here's our revised spell list. This is a pay what you want. You're welcome to buy it. I'd love for you to buy it, of course, but buy the whole bundle. It's at a 33% discount right now. But if we look at, this is a full document. You can see the entire document. It breaks down how color, like the philosophies behind color mana. What makes a spell or an effect white, blue, black, red, or green? What about damage types here, which you can see. And so here's the full player's handbook spell list. Cantrips and spells. So what we're looking for are features and abilities that reflect the different spells that we already have codified here, devoted to different colors, and seeing how they line up against what the devs of D&D have done. So far, we're batting around 95%. We've taken a lot of time over the years to already go through this process multiple times. So there's not a lot of surprises here, but occasionally they catch me off guard, and it's fun when they do. So keeping this as our template and mentality, you can check this stuff out, but let's get back to Zebrut here. So condition immunities, exhaustion, which is a construct thing that really doesn't really speak to it. Well, hold on. Before we proceed, what is a Gingerbrute? Gingerbrute is a true artifact creature. It is colorless by nature, which means that it doesn't adhere to any specific white, blue, black, red, green philosophy. Any mana that you have could be used towards benefiting the Gingerbrute. If I were a black-green Golgari character, I could interact and make use of a Gingerbrute just as much as a white-red Lorehold from Strixhaven could. So that's a fun thing about artifacts. So I think that's worth noting. Artifact. No color devotions. But having gleaned that, we already have our 1/1 here. We'll look at the actual text there in a minute. But again, knowing that this is colorless, what it can do specifically is more interesting than like what color it would belong to. So, for example, here we're looking at Can't Catch Me, Sweet Victory, and then the Fork and the Gumdrop Slingshot. Those are just attacks. So there's nothing. Yeah, it's just piercing damage and bludgeoning damage. There isn't even any energy type devoted to these. So very minimal in design. The Gingerbrute has advantage on any ability check or saving throw it makes to avoid or end the grappled or the restrained condition on itself. That's great. Can't catch me. Advantage versus grappling and restrained effects. Sweet Victory. Once a Gingerbrute is destroyed, a creature can use its action to eat all the remains and gain 5 temporary hit points. The remains crumble away after 24 hours if not eaten. When defeated, action to eat the body equals 5 what? Temporary hit points? Yep, 5 temp HP. I like how life gain effects in MTG are generally expressed in D&D as temporary hit point gains. If anyone that wants to swing by and check out the Martial Powers project tomorrow, we can look at like the life link effects that we have for martial characters to have active during combat. Also, it stacks temporary, and well, it doesn't stack, but it creates temporary hit points every time you hit. And of course, temporary hit points. If the amount of temporary hit points gained is more than your current temporary hit point total, the virtual total increases to that new limit. But like if I had like 5 temporary hit points and then I gained 2 temporary hit points, 2 doesn't exceed 5, so it would just stay 5. So in that sense, there's a hard cap, regardless of how many mechanics or what kind of die rolls go into those mechanics. Temporary hit points creates a virtual limiter on how much power that character can gain off of that specific temporary effect. We actually have a lot of temporary mana effects in the martial power system as well that allows you to juice up your attacks and different effects that you do, which is a lot of fun. But there's not a lot going on here. I mean, it's only a 1/1 creature, so what else is it going to do? It's not going to have a lot going on here. So, no card conversion stuff because there's... wait. Yes. So what do we want to do? We want to look at... since this is so simple and there's nothing else going on with it, we can just click over to the card itself. So the card itself says... it has haste. Generally faster move speed. Or bonuses to initiative period. So let's question that. What is the speed of this thing? Speed, 60 feet. That is incredibly fast for a tiny construct that can't fly. Almost unique. But the haste effect, it looks like they're using haste to give it double speed. For a tiny creature, basically 2 to 3 times normal speed. What else? Do you have acrobatics, athletics, bludgeoning, exhaustion? The exhaustion immunity comes from the construct. That's not an aspect of haste or anything. Okay, nothing else there. Let us... Yuck it. There you go. Sacrifice Ninja Brute. You gain 3 life. That's where that temporary hit points comes from. The 2 mana sacrifice. They've replaced that, but you have to sacrifice the brute, so it makes sense that when they die, you're tapping the mana, which is that's actually something worth gleaning. Tap equals an action, a single-use action for a creature each turn. Here we see a tap plus mana effect equals HP as per, what's it called? Sweet Victory. Thank you. As per Sweet Victory. Action to eat corpse. Toughness 1 equals 5 temporary HP. There you go. And I don't think there's much else we're going to glean from this. So, color mana revision, haste equals double speed, move, tap equals uses an action, possibly. Yeah, good enough. So, okay, cool. Let's just leave that at that. It's good enough. Goose Mother. I was looking forward to this one. So let's pull up the card. For the Goose Mother, 2/2 Goose Mother. So it's a pumping. The X means you can put as much mana into it as you want, and you'll gain benefits from doing so, which we'll see down here. Enters battlefield, create half. So the Goose Mother enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters. So its base form is 2/2, but if you like put X equals 10, then this would be a 12/12 creature. And then also, when the Goose Mother enters the battlefield, create half X food tokens rounded up. So if I had that 10 extra mana, this would create 5 food tokens. So let's look up MTG food token. We'll keep this on the stack as well. Hey, there's my coffee reminder. So, action, sacrifices artifact, gain 3 life, which is typically like 5 temporary, like we just saw with the Ginger Brute, 5 temporary hit points. So, Goose Mother, when the Goose Mother enters the battlefield, create half X food tokens, round up. Whenever the Goose Mother attacks, you may sacrifice a food. If you do, draw a card. Interesting. So, cards, there's things to think about with this. But let's first go back to Goose Mother here inside of the D&D rules and see what there is to see. It's a white and green creature. We already know that. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that right? Green and... Oh, no. Green and blue. Thank you. Green and blue creature. Very cool. MTG flavor. Here. CR is 7. Legendary resistances, that's great. At least, requires at least 2 heads. Neat. Let's see. How do I want to do this? Okay, first, let's just start breaking it. Oh, yeah, first thing we want to do is go up to the CR, the damage reference. So, this thing is pumpable. It's a 2/2. Goose Mother 7. Goose Mother MTG 2/2 equals. Let's see. What kind of damage do you do? Goose Mother makes as many beak attacks as it has heads and 1 wing attack. So how many heads does it have? Let's see. Other times the eggs continue trinkets and valuables. Into a goose or a giant goose. Let's see, what are we looking for? We're looking for head counts. Multiple heads, there we go. Multiple resistances. I believe it's a legendary creature, right? Yeah, legendary creature. Okay, so that's the first piece of information. Legendary reactions equals prompted legendary means it's unique, meaning that you can't have more than one in your game. Your opponent can also have one. It's just you can't have more than one. I have an itch on my back. Thank you. I can just choose to succeed. Let's see. Oh no, those are fails. Saving throw. Those are just legendary resistances. My bad. Let's see. Multiple heads. Goose Mother has 5 heads. Whenever the Goose Mother takes 25 or more damage in a single turn, one of its heads dies. If all the heads dies, Goose Mother dies. At the end of its turn, Goose Mother grows 2 heads for each of its heads that die once its last turn, unless it has taken poison damage since its last turn. The Goose Mother regains 10 hit points for each head when it regrows. Reactive heads. For each head the Goose Mother has beyond 1, it gets an extra reaction that can be used only for opportunity attacks. Wakeful. When Goose Mother sleeps, at least one of its heads is awake. Interesting. Okay. I don't think there's necessarily a lot we need to glean from that. Reactive heads. That's more of a multi-head thing. That's not necessarily a color thing. But we do know that it starts with 5 heads and can have more. So the base it has here for multi-attack is 5 attacks. And 1 wing attack. So it's a 2/2 creature, but it's a CR7 as D&D. Considerable difference. Beak. 6 times 5 is 30. Wing of 9, 39. We take 2/3 of that equals 26. So it does 26 damage. Then its hit points are 114. 26, 114. Yeah, see, we're seeing a really wide difference here. 22 hit points for a Fairy Pest versus 114 for a Goose Mother. Chances of us actually gleaning anything useful from this stack is low, but we're going to go through the process and continue tracking it regardless. So let's see. We have the wings. We have the beak. We now have Lullaby of Honks. That's great. Requires at least 2 heads. Where'd you go? There you go. Let's see. Goose Mother head honk in discordant lullaby. Each creature of the Goose Mother's choice within 10 feet of it must make a DC Constitution saving throw or takes thunder damage and falls into a magical slumber. Thunder damage equals thunder damage, and now let's go look at our stack. We know thunder damage is treated as blue, red, and green, and this card, as we noted earlier, is green and blue. So that is very, very much in the wheelhouse for the honk. So blue, white, blue, black, red, green. So we got blue and green. That's cool. That's on point. And the charm effect, let's see, and into a magical slumber. And if I'm not mistaken, sleep is it might be a blue and black spell, but it's definitely, I'm certain it's blue. Let's go verify. That's a first level spell, right? Let's see how on point we are with MTG design. Sleep. It's a blue or green spell. It's a blue or green spell. That's so perfect. Dude, we are batting in the upper 900s at this point. Plus sleep effects. UG as well. So far we're really on point. The unconscious condition for 8 hours. This effect ends early if a creature takes damage or another creature uses an action to shake it awake. That's pretty standard sleep language. Is there anything else going on with this guy? The multiple heads is fine. It's nothing in particular we need to pull out. Dark vision. I like the condition immunities for frightened, stun, and those are great. Like another head takes over if one head is affected. That's really good. I like that. But there's not that much else to say about it here in the legendary side, the D&D side. So let's instead. Oh wait, they do have comments up here. Let's take a look at the comments. So centuries ago, an enterprising witch created a frothy stew composed of hydra's blood and goose feathers. Blah 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 blah. The Goose Mother lays 1 golden egg every hour. Golden eggs. So let's go with that. Golden eggs equals 1 per hour. The Goose Mother lays 1 golden egg every hour, precisely on the hour. Sometimes these eggs hatch into clutches of young geese that grow up to terrorize the marshes of Eldraine. Other times the egg contains trinkets or valuables. The Fae folk of Eldraine wilds have developed a symbiotic relationship with the Goose Mother, often bringing it fresh meat in exchange for the treasure inside its golden eggs. If you have Glory of the Giants for some reason, sure, why not? You can use the Goose Egg Trinket table to determine the contents of one of your Goose Mother eggs that isn't destined to hatch into a goose or a giant goose, also described in that book. So 1 per hour hatches. How quickly does it hatch? It grows to terrorize marshes all the time. Trinkets. The Fae folk now trying to Guard the Witch. Sometimes these eggs hatch into clutches. Other times trinkets. Develop symbiotic relationship, bringing food for treasures. Turn the content. As described to hatch the goose. Okay. So 1 hour. Creates golden egg. Contains clutch of normal geese, single giant goose. Let's say let's say 2d4 normal geese. Wrong button. Also, wrong button. Random trinket. Random trinket, or I'm just making up stuff here. Random trinket, 75%, or first level treasure, 25%. Wow, that's a lot of wealth this thing's going to create. That's pretty cool. But that's pretty much all there is going on with the card itself. So let's then dip down into the card conversion stuff. Let's see what there is here for us to play with on the card. So pumpable, the X is going to be the number of heads that it has. The 2/2 is for 5, but so that kind of skews. Let's go with Hydra heads. Equals X effect, extra heads with more CR. Let's get the +1/+1 converts into extra damage. X equals +1/+1 as Hydra. Heads above, more equals extra attacks and reactions. What else you got? Flying equals classic, blue, green, feature of creatures. X mana. What else we got? Whenever the Goose Mother attacks, you may sacrifice a food. If you do... Oh, that's a draw a card. Okay, so... Is it treasure or is it foods? Food. Food equals treasure. Interesting. Number of food. I would expect it to mean treasure, but here it's sacrifice food equals draw a card. Drawing a card often means gaining mana, gaining a spell or effect, gaining an item. These are things that could generally equate to drawing a card. And this one here, as per golden eggs. In this instance, the effect as per golden eggs. Above. Is that what it's called? Golden eggs? Yeah. Gain the advantage. I'm pretty good with that. Let's do one more. Keep knocking these things down. High Fae Imposter. Let's check this. So we have a problem with the High Fae Imposter. Because I haven't found art for this. If there is art for this creature in MTG, and anyone is out there that's listening in, let me know what card this is so we can come back and look at it. There's a couple different Fae cards in here that I can't, Fae creatures here in the Eldrazi set that I can't find cards to. So if anyone knows what it is, that would be great. But I can't figure it out. So, oh well, I guess all we're going to do is, I guess, look at this one offhand. So it's, we don't even have a color reference. I mean, there's a skull here, so that that kind of infers that it's black energy. It could be black green. I'm honestly not sure. So, but hey, let's look at it anyway. So what are we looking at? CR. Oh my god, this thing's powerful as hell. High Fae Kind Guard. The Kindly Lord does not issue. High Fae Kind Guards have spent centuries perfecting. Is that a difference? Yeah, that's the Fae Kind Guard as opposed to Fae Imposters. I really wish I could find that art. Let's open image in a new tab. Let's go to Google. Let's go to images. Doo-doom. Search by image. We're going to try it again. It's been a couple weeks since I've pulled this out, so maybe the world's updated in the meantime. Who knows? Let's do this. That did not work. Let's try that again. High Fae Prankster, is that what it's called? Are we getting a clue here? High Fae. Really? High Fae Prankster, huh? Is that a card? High Fae Prankster. Oh my god, we found it! Yay, we found it! Good job, guys. So High Fae Prankster. Let's take this and we can go to here. I could not find that before. High Fae Prankster and Chuck it. 1/4. Nice. 2 blue and black. Nice. And it is 1/4. So let's go back up to our board for 1/4. 1/4. It is a CR11. So it's going to blow away the power 1 in comparison. But that's our job. We're going to process it. So multi-attack. 2 Fae Blades. And uses Vexing Prank. So what is Vexing Prank? We're now on our last 20-minute mark. I think what we'll do is we'll finish High Fae and Imposter, and we'll call it a day, and we'll come back and we'll do another 3 next week. So hold on real quick. Get some coffee down my gullet. Every sip of coffee, take 2 of water. Keep yourself hydrated through the day. High Fae Imposter. Vexing Prank. The High Fae targets one creature it can see within 60 feet of itself with a magic trick. The target must make a DC 18 Wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, it takes 21 psychic damage. Psychic damage is a very, very blue thing to do. I think it's also black, though. Let's go back up to our damage. I'm pretty sure it's black. Psychic. White, blue, and black damage. Okay. So that's super on point. Jow, 61 damage. And it has a frightened condition. Frightened is a very black condition. As well as red. Until the start of the High Fae's next turn. On a successful save, the target takes half as much damage only on a successful... Okay, only half damage. And then it has spell casting on top of it. So we can pick through these spells to find the... commonalities. Magic resistance. So we're looking at magic resistance. Magic resistance is a bluish sort of thing. So let's start at the beginning. Magic resistance equals white, blue, effect, appropriate. Let's see. Vexing Prank. Equals psychic damage plus fear. Black red effect, sorry. Wanted to have that processed properly there. Vexing Prank. What about the Feyblade? Okay, so we got to figure out the damage that this thing does. It's 18 damage with 2 hits. Itch. 18, that takes it to 36. We take 2/3 of it, so that's 24. Plus 18 damage. It's saved for half to 9. So that means we'll take it at 12, then 2/3 of that. The splitting point between 9 and 18, halfway point between those two things is technically 15. Sorry, thank you. So 6 and then 3, like around 14, 13. So that takes us to 24 and like 34 damage. So averaging around 34 damage for a CR 11. And how do you mark up here? It's a 1. So 34 damage. High Fae Imposter. And then a 4, we have X High Fae Imposter. Hey, some text on the wall. What's up? Give me a second. I'll check you out here in a moment. What's up? Hey, what's up? Game saved. Cheers, man. What are we doing here? I just played the Elder Scrolls Arena for 3 hours straight. Oh, man. All the side quests are going to be right on. Well, I'm glad you had fun, man. I'm a D&D designer. I create supplements and I publish them on DMsGuild. You can see in the link down below. Color Mana Spell Point Variant Rules. I'm an MTG enthusiast and a D&D enthusiast. So I make MTG mechanics to use in Dungeons and Dragons. And right now, this is a stack. You can see in the Color Mana list in my description down below. But we have this document. It's pay what you want or free to look at. And so if we open it up here, we've got a translation guide. for different effects in Dungeons and Dragons that are that are devoted to different identities. Like black magic has control, entropy, fear, soul, darkness sorts of effects, while like red has aggression, earth, emotion, energy, impulse sort of effects. Pretty self-explanatory. And then different types of damage in D&D. White, blue, black, red, green colors. And then here's the 10 types of damage that they deal. So here's consistently how we see these things coded on card art for Magic the Gathering stuff that we've been translating over the past number of years in these documents, how these cards translate into D&D stuff for people to use. So the overarching goal here, of course, is that we keep building different supplements for D&D that use color identities. Like one of our side projects is a spell point sorcerer to use color mana for spell casting instead of spell slots and sorcery points, for instance. Tuesdays at lunch, tomorrow, we have a once per week development stream where we take fighter, monk, barbarian, and rogue subclasses and class features and convert them into a color mana mechanic, so that you could have a fighter or a rogue using a color mana pool to trigger different character effects that could then be multi-classed in with other classes, all 13 classes, so that all the classes are using the same color mana resources to express their characters in D&D, with a heavy bend to MTG for people that are Ravnica, Strixhaven, Theros, or any other worlds in MTG that haven't been created yet. So specifically what we're doing here is the Eldraine Monsters Compendium was released last month, and it takes 25 creatures from the Wilds of Eldraine card set of D&D of Magic the Gathering that came out 2 months ago, and created a stack of monsters. It's a cross-promotional piece. But in the process of doing that, we get to compare our chops to the Wizards team to see how they translate color ideas in MTG into D&D mechanics. And this is our 4th stream. So far, we're batting like around 9,500. Like almost everything that we already have in our color mana system that's on the DMsGuild is coming through with the same color identities and ideas that we have in our books to what Wizards of the Coast is putting out. So this is sort of this is part of my next year project, because we're going to translate everything into the new 1D&D system. This is an opportunity, since they're dropping new stuff, for us to take a look at what the professional designers at Wizards of the Coast is doing to translate cards into D&D, to keep our heads straight, to make sure that when we continue building out these things, that when we go through our update every 3 or 6 months, we can make sure that we're recalibrating things to stick with the same sort of language that the Wizards of the Coast designers are using as well. New text, hey, what's up? I gotta get some tips on starting. Yes, I've got tons of tips for starting Game Masters. I've been a DM for about 32 years. 36 years. Yeah, 36 years at this point. I have a stream actually on Mondays and Thursday nights where I make maps and creature tokens for Eberron Adventure, but I spend a lot of my camera, since I'm painting, I don't actually have to think about painting. I spend a lot of my talking time devoted to like building campaigns, how to weave different types of encounters into a scenario, how to have backup A, B, and C plans for plot lines, so when people don't follow the leads that you give you, how to be able to transfer into another plot line and thread those ideas together, improvisational gaming, how to convert different types of challenges into other things. There's a lot of fun stuff there for you. If you want to like and subscribe, you can check out Monday night, we'll be doing that. Thursday nights we do that, and occasionally on Monday through Friday morning when I'm doing Spelljammer art, occasionally I talk about tactics and stuff, but mostly in the mornings I talk about artwork. So Mondays and Thursday nights are probably where you really want to invest your time in listening to what my ideas about DMing comes from. But since you're bringing it up, I'll make sure I spend some time tonight talking about new DM stuff and like the kind of things you want to think about. So happy to help, but I also want to stay on task. We got 10 minutes to finish up the High Fae Imposter before my day is done, before lunch is over, and I got to go back to my day job. But then we'll be back. We'll be doing Eberron in about 5 hours tonight, and that's when we can start looking at some tips and stuff. So you can check out the previous streams, but it's pretty hit and miss about like what am I talking on any particular day. I've started extracting conversations from my streams and dropping them in as separate tear outs, like little tear out conversation vignettes. But I'm not consistent with it yet because I'm still trying to figure out how to conduct a channel like this. So bear with me. I'm new and I'm figuring my world out. So thanks for asking the question. It's a great question. And I'm happy to answer it when I have time. So let's see. We are still looking at the High Fae Imposter. So it's a high CR creature. So let's continue looking at what it is that they have. And we already have the Vexing Prank. We've already looked at Vexing Prank, which is psychic damage, and Fear, which we know are blue and red effects. While psychic damage is white, blue, black. White, blue, black. Appropriate. So we're doing good there. Let's look down here at bonus actions, loot likeness. Wow, loot likeness. Okay, what's that all about? Nope. Loot likeness equals. The High Fae magically transforms into a duplicate of a small or medium creature it can see. While transformed, the High Fae retains its game statistics other than its size, but gains access to enough general information about the imitated creature, such as background and personality, to reasonably pass itself off as the creature. The transformation ends if the High Fae is reduced to 0 hit points, uses this bonus action again, or uses a bonus action to revert to its true form. Got it. So it's shape change. Shape changing. I'll catch you in a second. Shape change. And glean info about targets. That is screaming blue. Very blue. Cool. We're on point there. Because again, this creature is 2 colorless plus blue plus black. So it's actually a pretty powerful creature, but it has blue and black energy on it. Like the stuff that it does should feel like blue and black magic, like Demir, taking advantage of people, tricking them, using magic to create illusions. That's what we're seeing this Fae do already unto itself. So far this is looking really good. Let's go to spellcasting, and we'll look at our array to see how it stacks up. But comment, hey. Glad to meet you. Thank you. Fallout and Metro 2033 fan. Nice. Fallout 1 and 2. Beth. Hell yeah, dude. You play some digital RPGs at the same time to time, by the way. Hey, Milo. Nice to meet you. My hobby is creating role-playing games for tabletop and virtual tabletop games, and then illustrating them. So I used to play a lot of Civilization, Path of Exile, and League of Legends. Those are like my 3 mainstays. I would say like in the 2010s ish, like 208 to 215. I think that was like where that was where my jam was. I was a console player for like Gauntlet, Fable series, but never really got into a lot of video games. Most of my hobby time is spent running games, building games, and then illustrating stuff, either as a freelancer on the side, like my Saturday art stream is commission work. Like I'm currently working on a book cover for 5th edition Underdark Adventure. So if I'm not doing artwork for myself, I'm being hired by other people to do artwork as well. So most of my fun time is eaten up with art and game development production, just because I find. While I certainly appreciate succeeding and completing a task like a video game, I find it a lot more nourishing to myself. Like my heart is much more nourished by bringing value to other people, which I can do by creating new ideas that people can implement in their games, or by producing images that other creators can't produce or find for themselves. So it's kind of like playing a game, but in a different dimension, you know. So let's look at our stack. Friends, minor, illusions. I used to play video games all the time, though, man. No hate. Enthrall, and Nistel's Magic Aura. Cantrip. Cantrip. I set. Thank you. No. No. Now, this document, if you click on the Patreon link down below, you don't have to be a patron to access it, but it is a read-only document. But I like to share. Most of my work has free previews, such extensive free previews that you know pretty much exactly what you're buying if you were to buy something of mine. But even if you didn't want to buy something, you could still look at the free preview and benefit from the mechanics if you're a D&D enthusiast. Spellcasting, Friends. I believe Friends is black and blue energy. Let's check it out. Let's go to our list of stuff here. Let's see. More text. Hey, what's up? Yeah, no kidding, right? Very much fun. Let's see. Friends. That is a black and red. That's appropriate. Minor Illusion is probably straight blue. Yep. Minor Illusion, straight blue. Enthrall, first level spell. Beep, beep, beep. White, blue, black, red, green. For those that don't know the 5-color mana system from MTG already. White, blue, black, red, green. There you go. So we're looking for... which one are we looking for? Enthrall. Oh, Enthrall is the second. Is that right? Nistol's, is Nistol's one? Enthrall. Nistol. Looking for Nist. No, seconds. Okay. Enthrall. There it is. Blue. Blue specifically, and then Nistol's is probably blue as well. I spec. Nistol. Blue. Nice. Let's look at Enthrall real quick, just to make sure we're not missing the point on something here, because I could be wrong. I could be wrong on magic effects, and I don't want to be so arrogant as to assume I'm always right, but I'm pretty good at this point. I've been doing this for a number of years. I ran two campaigns level 1 to 20 using color mana so far, and I think we might use it again in the next campaign that we start up in Eberron as well. I run a 20 level campaign for 5th edition from 1 to 20, and roughly at about 200 to 250 hours on average. Unless I'm doing like a set thing, like I'm going to be doing some playtesting for the martial power system, starting up in the new year, and I'll probably just like run from like 3rd to 7th level. It has a limited scope because it has a specific purpose. My home table with my friends off screen, we've been playtesting martial power since level 12 till now we're at 19th level. It's been going great, but I need to test it at the lower levels. So you weave distracting strings of word, causing creatures of your choice that you can see within range and that can hear you to make a wisdom saving throw. Any creature that can't be charmed succeeds on the saving throw automatically. And if you or your companions are fighting a creature, it has advantage on the save. On a failed save, the target has disadvantage on wisdom perception checks made to perceive any creature other than you until the spell ends, or until the target can no longer hear you. The spell ends if you are incapacitated or can no longer speak. So this is not red because it's not specifically doing anything involved with emotions, like fear is an emotional effect. So you could see like black and red energy being related to fear. But this Enthrall is simply charming and beguiling somebody. There's no emotional impact. There's no commands being issued. There's no controls being given. It just enamors them. So that's not right. It glamours them in charm. So that being straight blue actually is appropriate. So I'm pretty happy there. But that's pretty much all the effects that the Imposter has. And I mean, it's a good chunk. Let's see if there's anything else going on around here that we need to look at. Magical defense, that doesn't really count. Magic resistance, there we go. High Fae has advantage on saving throws against spells. That's kind of a Fae thing. But it does count, so... Yeah, we already had magic resistance. There's a white-blue effect, so blue is appropriate. We're going to finish up the card, and that was my timer to say that we're done for the day. So let's real quick look at the actual card itself to see what we can glean from here. Ooh, Death Touch, nice. Flying equals very blue. Death Touch equals very black. B. So Death Touch, the way that Death Touch works in Magic the Gathering is if this creature attacks, if this creature deals damage to another creature, that other creature immediately dies. And we don't have anything in the card that does like poison damage, I don't think, but has the Frighten condition. Let's just save. Likeness, multi-attack. I'm not seeing anything here other than the Vexing Prank. But that's not specifically. I'm not seeing that. Let's see. Enters the battlefield, choose up to 1. High Fae Prankster perpetually has a base power and toughness of 4/1 as opposed to 1/4. That's where the shape change thing comes from. Perpetually exchange target creature's base power with another target creature's base power. My God, that's insane. That's where that shape change ability is coming from. When High Fae, yeah. And the Death Touch, I think that's where they're getting the psychic damage and the fear. Very black. Seems to be where Vexing Prank above is expressed. Action equals psychic, maybe necrotic. Damage plus fear effect. Death Touch equals action damage plus fear or other effect. So I don't have anything codified for Death Touch so far in the power system like I do for like Lifelink and flying and other things like that. So that's interesting. That is interesting. I like that. I think I want to explore Death Touch some more on my own time. Let's see. And then we have the swap effect. ETB. ETB equals enter the battlefield. So ETB equals swap. What? Power, particularly change target base power with another. Swap power with target creature. 1 for better. Or instead of 1/4, it's 4/1. God, that's really interesting. I like that. Enter the battlefield. So ETB equals how do they have it lined up here? How often can they do it? It's a bonus action. Interesting. Equals bonus action magic effects. Need more evidence of ETB translations. That's interesting though. I like that. The Death Touch and the ETB, I think, are the real interesting takeaways from this particular High Fae Imposter creature. That is very, very useful. But we have hit our time for the day. We are now at, where are we at? Yeah, hour and 4 minutes. We had about an hour. We ran over a few minutes. I'm gonna bounce back to the day job. I will be back on in about 4.5 hours. It's almost 3 o'clock here in Seattle. I'll be here around 7 or so Seattle time. So in about 3.5 hours, I will be on for probably about 2 hours making maps, creating creature tokens, and Milo, at your request, we will be talking about tips for new DMs and how to make the daunting challenge of running a game a lot of fun and an intuitive experience. So I think I'll probably have some fun stuff to say about that stuff. So hey, thanks for hanging out, my guy. Nice to see you around. We're trying to get to 500 subscriptions by the end of the year. I have no idea how we're actually going to hit that mark. But anyone that's checking out the channel, if you thought this stuff was cool and you want to just catch some more in the future, jump on board. I'd love to have you. So see everybody later on tonight, and have a great afternoon. See you then. Cheers.